Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Bringling. Namaste, my dear friends. Welcome to Bringle Talks Rotary Legacies Fridays. And today we are going to talk about a very important topic, polio eradication, and how Rotary can transform or is transforming slowly from polio eradication to Mission Zero Unemployment and Mission Net Zero, and why it is so important. You know, Rotary has been a leader, for the last 100 plus years, almost 120 plus years, 100 years in India alone, and have worked on global movements like polio eradication. But if Rotary does not own the next big mission, it risks being remembered only for the past glories. You know, it's so important right now to figure out that how it can be more towards nation building. And this is my invitation to all the Rotary presidents, governors, CSR leaders who take pride in Rotary's legacy but are actually worried about its future relevance. I once asked this question in the recent one of the Rotary meetings. Rotary has survived for more than 100 years only in India. Will Rotary survive for the next 100 years? And that's a big question, which of course people have immediately answered saying that yes, it will, it has been working, there are systems, processes. But my question is different. Are we really creating an impact? Are we really able to hold our members out there, active members I'm talking about? History doesn't remember the comfortable. It remembers those who dare to dream beyond their time. This Rotary Legacies Fridays is not just a Bringle Talks. It's just not a simple talk. It's a space where we celebrate our glorious past and question how we can shape our next 100 years. For over a century, Rotary International has been the heartbeat of service, from eradicating polio to building schools, hospitals, wells. We have touched lives in every corner of this planet. But today, as I speak to you, I ask a simple yet powerful question. Again, to all of the Rotary leaders out there, what will Rotary be remembered for in the next 100 years? We were the generation that ended polio, a disease that crippled millions. But will we be the generation that ends unemployment and unsustainability? Because if we don't lead the next movement, we risk becoming a story of the past instead of a force for the future. We always have a pride of polio eradication, which is a legacy of impossible. When ordinary people unite for an extraordinary cause, miracles happens. Let's pause and remember the magnitude of what Rotary achieved. For decades, Rotary's polio eradication mission became one of the humanity's greatest success stories. 1.2 million Rotarians, 200 plus countries, 3 billion children vaccinated. It was not just a campaign, it was a global movement. The world saw that what could happen when compassion met coordination. Rotary became a symbol of what purpose with structure can achieve. But after polio success, a silent question has echoed in many clubs. What next? And many of the clubs are still banking on the success of the polio's, campaign, and they're thinking that it is to be revived. They're building funds around that. Because the truth is, the world has changed. Today, the diseases of the body are being replaced by diseases of the economy, the mind, and the environment. Unemployment is the new epidemic. Climate anxiety is the new pandemic. And just like polio once demanded global unity, today Mission Zero, unemployment and net zero demands global leadership. And who better than Rotary leaders to lead that movement again? You must be thinking, what is the need for this Mission Zero? What are we talking? Why it is required? Real epidemic is not joblessness. It's hopelessness. Let's look around India today. We are the youngest country in the world. 65% of our population is under 35 years of age. More than 54% of our population is under 30 years of age. Every year, over 1 crore youth enter the job market, but only fraction of them find meaningful work. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack opportunities. On the other side, the planet is crying for help. Rising temperatures, vanishing forests, polluted cities, and ironically, these two crises, unemployment and environmental collapse, can solve each other. If we skill our youth for green jobs, sustainable entrepreneurship, clean tech, and circular economies, we not only create livelihoods, we restore life itself. And that's the vision behind Mission Zero. Mission Zero unemployment, no Indian youth left without an income or opportunity. Mission Net Zero, every project we do restores the earth, not just resources. This is not a dream, it's a duty now. It's the next chapter in the Rotary story, from eradicating polio to eradicating poverty and pollution. Because if Rotary doesn't lead this movement, others will. Probably corporates, some influencers, or AI-powered NGOs we don't know. And our century-old credibility will fade into history's background noise, and we keep celebrating the old things with a glass of wine or whatever. There has to be a bridge between service and sustainability, because service without sustainability is sympathy, and sustainability without service is selfishness. Rotary stands at the perfect intersection of compassion and competence today. We have the network, 1.4 million members in 200 countries. We have the credibility, trusted by governments, corporates, communities. And now we have the responsibility to redefine service for the 21st century. Imagine if every Rotary club across India adopted one skills and startups hub under Mission Zero, skilling 1,000 youth every year in renewable energy, AI, or waste to health, waste to wealth entrepreneurship. And each hub became financially self-sustainable, a cash flow engine that funds its own projects. That's not charity, that's legacy design. And that's how we transition from service above self to sustainable impact above self. Because the Rotary of the future won't just raise funds, it will raise founders. It won't just distribute aid, it will distribute ability. It won't just serve communities, it will sustain civilizations. That is Rotary 2.0, where compassion meets capital and service becomes self-sustaining. Sone ki Chidiya ko Jagao, awakening the golden bird, is not just a slogan or a movement. Remember, India was once the world's teacher, not because of its wealth, but because of its wisdom. Sone ki Chidiya ko Jagao movement is not just about national pride today. It's about restoring the soul of service in India and beyond. It's about uniting Rotary, CSR, community innovation to build an India that doesn't just survive, it inspires. When we say Vision 2030 and Vision 2047, we are not just talking about economic milestones. We are talking about spiritual evolution. An India where purpose, profit, and planet coexist. At this time, we don't want to wait to others to lead. We become the torchbearers again. Just as Rotary led the fight against polio, Rotary can now lead Mission Zero, a global movement where every act of service creates sustainable wealth and environmental healing. This is how we make India not just the startups capital, but the skills and sustainability capital of the world as well. The legacy we live is not built in marble or memories. It's built in motion, in every life we lived. Friends, Rotary first century was about service. The next century must be about sustainability. We ended polio. Now let's end our unemployment. We build wealth. Now let's build wealth with purpose. If we do this right, Rotary will not just survive the next 100 years, it will define them. And that's what I talk about. Will Rotary survive for the next 100 years or not? Because the future doesn't belong to those who give more. It belongs to those who give forever. And as I always say, Dare to dream big or die wondering what could have been your $1 billion dream. Uh, you know, history doesn't remember the comfortable. It remembers those who dare to dream beyond their time. And this is the second century for Rotary. This century is going to be a journey through heart, hope, and humanity. While we have already, Rotary International has already given the world one of the greatest success stories ever told. And that mission definitely united millions. It transcended borders, politics, religions. It showed the power of purpose, the eradication of polio. But now, as we stand at the dawn of a new century of Rotary, we must ask, what's the next mission? What's the next polio? What will Rotary be remembered for 100 years from now? Because the truth is, world has changed faster than our models of service. Donors are changing, CSR priorities are changing, governments are changing, and even the every definition of service is changing. If we don't adapt now, Rotary might be remembered for it was, not what it is becoming. There was a time when polio was a global terror, crippling 350,000 children every year. Governments were paralyzed. WHO, World Health Organization, was overwhelmed. And yet it was Rotary, not a government, not a corporation, that said, we will take the first step. Millions of volunteers, billions of vaccines, 200 countries united under one banner. We can end this. Rotary became more than a club. It became a movement, a living proof that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things when united by purpose. But after that incredible success, something changed. The world applauded, but then moved on. And somewhere deep down, Rotary itself started asking, what's next? Because after conquering something as historic as polio, what do you do next? Think. Do you celebrate the past or do you build the future? That's where our story shifts from polio eradication to MissionZero. The real epidemic, as I mentioned, is not joblessness, it's hopelessness. When these 1 crore young Indian enters the job market, more than half, maybe more, remain underemployed or unemployed. They have degrees but no direction, dreams but no design. And we can see the calamities, floods, heat waves, pollution, droughts. These two crises of unemployment and unsustainability is the basic challenge. If we train our youth for green jobs, digital entrepreneurship, sustainable innovation, we don't just solve unemployment, we solve the climate crisis. And with these two, Mission Zero unemployment and Mission Net Zero combined as a Mission Zero, it's not just an idea, it's a necessity now. And once again, it's Rotary turn to lead. Because if Rotary could end polio, why can't we end joblessness? Why can't we end sustainability issues? But here is the fear. Rotary doesn't own this mission, someone else will. Corporates are already building their own foundations. Governments are launching parallel initiatives. The world is moving fast, and in this race, Rotary must not be remembered for impact. It must be recognized for leadership. Because this is Rotary movement of the 21st century, and if we miss it, we risk fading into history. Rotary 2.0 from service above self has to be about sustainable impact above self. Because today service alone is not enough. Imagine if every Rotary club become a self-sustaining ecosystem, not just collecting funds, but generating cash flows, not just building schools, but creating skills and startup labs, not just giving jobs, but building job creators. That is the real impact. Rather than donating some, stationery books or something, you build centers where you are transforming people into leaders, children and youth. Through social venture funds and CSR partnership, Rotary clubs can transform from donation-dependent models to income-generating ecosystems. And that is Rotary 2.0, compassion with competence, purpose with profits, service with sustainability. Imagine this once. A Rotary club in Pune, Bangalore, maybe a city like Mysore, Kolkata, Delhi, Haryana, Gurgaon, maybe wherever, runs a solar powered skills hub for women entrepreneurs. CSR funds seeded. Local youths are trained. Within 2 years, the hub becomes self-sustainable, selling solar products, paying salaries, reinvesting profits into education. No grants, no dependence, pure impact. This is how Rotary can fund itself for the next 100 years. This is how service above self evolves into sustainable impact above self. Because charity ends when money ends. But sustainability begins when purpose multiplies. This is an India's call for Vision 2047. India was once the world's teacher, not because of its wealth, but because of its wisdom. Friends, this movement, Sone ki Chidiya ko Jagao, Awakening the Golden Bird, is not just about India. It's about what India can mean to the world. For centuries, India was the global impact, global capital of trade, knowledge, and innovation. And now, under Vision 2030 and Vision 2047, we have a chance to reclaim that legacy, not through politics, but through purpose. When we say MissionZero, it's not just about jobs or carbon, it's about reimagining service itself. A Rotary that trains millions, Rotary that sustains itself, Rotary that funds global change from Indian soil. This is how we transform India into the startup skills and sustainability capital of the world. And who better than Rotary to lead the revolution? Rotary built a world without polio. Now let's build a world without poverty. Rotary healed the body. Now let's heal the earth. Because when service meets sustainability, we don't just build projects, we build civilizations. And that's how Rotary becomes not just a century-old organization, but a timeless movement. The first 100 years was all about giving. Now, next 100 will be about growing. We gave the world health. Now we must give it hope. We ended polio. Now let's unemployment and unsustainability. We served humanity. Let's sustain it. Because if Rotary doesn't adapt, it risks extinction. But if it evolves, it will lead humanity again. So as you reflect on your journey as a Rotarian, ask yourself this. What will your club be remembered for 100 years from now? A ribbon cutting photograph? Or a movement that outlives its founders? Friends, the time for reflection is over. The time for rebirth is now. And as you take this forward, remember this one line. Dare to dream big or die wondering what could have been your billion-dollar dream. So with this, I just end the session for today and looking forward to see you next Friday on the Bringle Talks YouTube channel on Rotary Legacies Fridays. Keep spreading the Bringle dream wave, inspire others to dream big, help them achieve their billion-dollar dream, and motivate them to pass it on to at least 3 people in their network. See you next Friday.